I am Ankita Robin and welcome to SG Global News. From Disney reversing its decision to include a transgender character in their latest series to the timely intervention of a priest preventing the desecration of the Holy Eucharist, we have many stories to cover. Is Disney finally stepping away from its so-called woke agenda? After years of producing content that promotes LGBTQ representation, Disney has reportedly decided to remove a transgender storyline from its upcoming series, Win or Lose. The reason for this decision might surprise you. After years of being a flag bearer for progressive causes, Disney is now taking a step back with what appears to be a surprising about-face. In the upcoming Disney Plus series Win or Lose, a storyline featuring a transgender child playing on a boys' softball team has reportedly been scrapped by Pixar executives. A spokesperson for Disney explained that the company's commitment to parental rights was behind the decision. The series, scheduled for release on February 19th next year, will now feature the transgender character as a straight, cisgender girl. Chanel Stewart, the real-life transgender teen who voiced the character, expressed her disappointment over the removal of the storyline on X. Chanel's mother Keisha also criticized the move, calling it upsetting and accusing Disney of underrepresenting LGBTQ characters in their content. However, parental rights and Christian advocacy groups have praised Disney's decision. Ali Maher, a spokeswoman for the American Parents Coalition, which advocates for greater parental control in education policy, called the move a step in the right direction in a statement to CBN News. She also pointed out that many organizations are now recognizing the risks of pushing a woke agenda, which, she said, undermines parental support and hurts the popularity of brands. This decision marks a shift for Disney following a series of controversial moves aimed at incorporating LGBTQ content in its films and TV shows. The 2022 movie Lightyear, which included a same-sex relationship, sparked backlash from critics who felt such content was inappropriate for a children's movie. Disney eventually released the film, but after removing the LGBTQ storyline. Pornhub, one of the largest producers and publishers of adult content, will block access to its platform in Florida starting January 1st. The decision follows the new legislation signed by Republican Governor Ron DeSantis, which mandates age verification to access adult websites. Is the company's move about protecting user privacy, or does it raise questions about the site's actual audience demographics? Pornhub will block its website in Florida beginning January 1st, 2025, when the state's new age verification law takes effect. Republican Governor Ron DeSantis signed HB 3, an age verification law aimed at protecting children from accessing pornographic material, into law in March. The Florida law mandates anonymous age verification conducted by a third-party service. The legislation received overwhelming bipartisan support in the state legislature. Pornhub's parent company ILO announced it would block access to its site in Florida rather than comply with the law. This decision continues a trend in which the company has refused to adhere to state-specific age verification requirements. Pornhub has already restricted access to its platform in 12 other states, including Arkansas, Idaho, Nebraska, North Carolina, and Texas. State Representative Chase Tramond, a Republican from Port Orange and the primary sponsor of the age verification bill, criticized Pornhub's decision. He stated that the company's refusal to comply with the law and ensure children are not accessing its site shows who their target audience really is. A Honduran priest's quick thinking prevented the desecration of the Holy Eucharist. In a video circulating online, a man is seen attempting to leave with an unconsumed consecrated host. Reports suggest that the man intended to steal the host for use in a black mass ritual conducted by a local motorcycle gang. In a video circulating on Facebook, a tall man wearing a t-shirt is seen running away with an unconsumed Eucharist partially sticking out of his mouth before being apprehended by the faithful at the priest's instruction. The bizarre event occurred last Friday at St. Lucie Shrine in Villanueva, Honduras, leaving Catholic netizens baffled. Father Neri Perez, a priest from a nearby parish, was presiding over the Mass commemorating the feast of St. Mark at St. Lucie Shrine. While distributing the Eucharist to the faithful, Father Perez noticed a man in a white t-shirt anxiously waiting in line. When it was the man's turn to receive communion, he did not respond to the priest's words, "the body of Christ," and instead lunged toward the priest, forcefully snatching the sacred host from his hands. With the Eucharist between his teeth and partially protruding from his mouth, the man paused momentarily, appearing unsure of what to do, and smiled nervously at the priest. He then rushed back to his seat in the pew, still holding the unconsumed host. Realizing what had happened, Father Perez quickly pursued the man, retrieving the Holy Eucharist with the assistance of vigilant parishioners nearby. The priest resumed the procession and concluded the Mass without any further major incidents.
At the end of the liturgical celebration, Father Paris took the opportunity to underscore the importance of the Eucharist, calling it the greatest treasure of the Church. He also reminded the faithful of their special obligation to preserve its sanctity. Although local law enforcement agencies have not issued an official statement, local media report that the man was allegedly tasked by a local motorcycle gang to steal the host for use in their Black Mass rituals.
US President Joe Biden is scheduled to meet Pope Francis on January 10th during a rare international visit close to the end of his term. The meeting will likely focus on global peace along with other pressing international matters.
White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre announced on Thursday that US President Joe Biden will travel to Rome, Italy from January 9th to 12th to meet separately with His Holiness Pope Francis, Italian President Sergio Mattarella, and Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni. President Biden is scheduled to have an audience with the Pope on January 10th. According to Jean-Pierre's statement, the two leaders are expected to discuss efforts to advance global peace. The president also spoke with Pope Francis on Thursday on phone to discuss efforts to advance peace around the world during the holiday season. In a separate statement, the White House also informed that the president thanked the Pope for his continued advocacy to alleviate global suffering, including his work to advance human rights and protect religious freedoms. The US president has met with the Holy Father twice before during his presidency. In his first meeting with Pope Francis in October 2021, the two discussed climate change, the coronavirus pandemic, and global poverty. The second meeting occurred on the sidelines of the G7 summit in Italy in June 2024, where their discussion focused on the conflict in Gaza and the Russia-Ukraine war. Joe Biden, only the second Catholic president of the United States, has been at odds with the Catholic Church over his stance on abortion. In 2022, during an interview with Univision and Televisa broadcast, Pope Francis called Biden's support of legal abortion an incoherence.
Tragedy struck at an end-of-year fun fair in Nigeria where 35 children lost their lives. A crowd of about 10,000 people turned up for the event, which offered prizes like scholarships and gifts, besides free food and 5,000 naira per person.
35 children have been killed and many injured at an end-of-year fun fair held on December 18th at Islamic High School in the Bashorun district of Ibadan in Nigeria. According to The Guardian, the event was organized by a local radio station and Wings Foundation, which offered prizes like scholarships and gifts besides free food and 5,000 naira per person. A crowd of 10,000 people turned up at the venue. Some children were brought as early as 5 a.m. in the morning, and thousands had gathered before the event started, leading to a crowd crush. The Oyo State Governor, Sei Makinde, shared his condolences on X. He wrote, quote, "Our hearts remain with the families and loved ones impacted by this tragedy. May the souls of the departed rest in peace. We sympathize with the parents whose joy has suddenly been turned to mourning due to these deaths." End quote. According to the World Food Programme, 4.4 million people are food insecure in northeast Nigeria, and 37% of people nationwide live below the poverty line.
According to a recent report by the Pew Research Center, global government restrictions on religion remained at peak levels in 2022. The study is based on two key metrics, the Government Restrictions Index and the Social Hostilities Index.
The Pew Research Center has released a report indicating that global government restrictions on religion remained at peak levels in 2022. Pew has been evaluating religious restrictions in almost 200 countries since 2007 through two metrics, the Government Restrictions Index (GRI) and the Social Hostilities Index (SHI). The GRI evaluates government constraints on individuals based on their religious beliefs, including cases where religion is used to justify harassment. The SHI assesses religious-related hostilities by private actors and social groups. The analysis of average scores from 2018 to 2022 reveals that about 3/4 of all countries consistently registered either high or very high or low or moderate levels of restrictions. Among these, 16% of countries like China and Cuba had high GRI scores but moderate SHI scores. In contrast, 10% of countries, including Brazil and the Philippines, had moderate GRI scores but high SHI scores. Regionally, the Americas mostly had low or moderate restriction scores in 2022, a trend not observed in the Middle East North Africa region, where no country recorded low scores on both indices.
Byblos, Lebanon, is one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the world, first settled around 5000 BC. This ancient Phoenician city boasts a rich history shaped by various civilizations. Despite Lebanon's ongoing political and economic instability, Byblos offers a comforting escape through its annual tree lighting ceremony. This year's event was particularly magnificent, attracting tourists eager to see the majestic tree and celebrate the season. That's all for today. Until we meet again, God bless and thank you.